Welcome to the podcast, and the track here is Breaking Benjamin So Cold. This is such an interesting track because I don't listen to a lot of Breaking Benjamin. The only other I've heard is Diary of Jane, or what was another one I can't remember the name of. But it's so fascinating to sort of listen to because it's just one of the heaviest Breaking Benjamin songs there is, and a heavy metal song at that. It's like literally heavy in the sense of this feels like it is a heavy topic, and according to the Wikipedia article, which was one on this, it was written whilst in New York, Manhattan apparently, and basically it was cold and they were in a dark place. I can't remember who said it was, so I can't credit you, but yeah. This is written from a dark place, and weirdly enough, as I'm talking about this, I am literally in the process of writing one of my darkest tracks myself, which came from a dark place too. It's so sick and twisted, it's fucking insane. And I've got to find a way to make the vocals work somehow, because that's going to be the struggle. But anyway, in this track, So Cold, it seems to be about just being in that dark place. They're looking for warmth and just contemplating life, and it's like that really good line. What was it? Wise men wonder while strong men die. That's it. It's fucking insane. Yeah, it literally is life in a nutshell. Though it does seem to be what happens, and I don't really think strength is a measurement of whether you look physically strong or whether you are able to do things others aren't. I just think it is just a measurement of how you can fortify yourself and come on top, beat the odds, just do all that. I think that's literally all it is, in my opinion anyway. I could be very wrong about it, but to me that seems like what's happening there. I don't see how it could be anything else, to be honest. It seems impossible that, yeah, that the world can be any other way. It's a terrifying way. The other thing that makes the world, the world feel cold, is just how it is survival of the fittest, and it's actually the fittest who win. Truth be told, I get really heavy existential dread about thinking about nature. Nature does freak me out in a lot of ways. It probably wouldn't some other people against strong people. But it does freak me out because it does feel like it's. So I'm trying not to laugh at this line spinning. But yeah, it does feel like nature is very cruel and very unjust, unfair. Just where it feels just so off-putting. Like, holy crap. It's actually insane how unfair nature is. And we got a fox here in real life near our house, and it looks very sweet. I don't know if they are a she or a he. Not that it matters. But, I noticed their tail is like really small. I don't know what that's about. Bit too scared to look it up, to be honest. I reckon it's maybe something like fleas. It could always be out some parasite, you never know. But yeah, it's like, again, dark and cruel. And that's why this song resonates with me a lot. It just feels like a song that you'd make in a dark place. And it is, obviously, a dark song, in a way. Yeah, I didn't mean to get into that topic, but fucking hell, it's one of the heaviest starts I've probably started with. So what is there to talk about next? Trying to think. I can't remember, but yeah, the track has some interesting arrangements. So that's what I was going to talk about. The sort of instruments arrangements. and also composition as well. But I love the metal chords in this. They're so fucking full. It's actually incredible. Admittedly, it's not the most complex metal chord. If I look up a tab, for example, making Benjamin, so-called Guitar Pro. That's not a legit site, I don't think. Why is that there? Let's do the official, because sometimes they're good, sometimes they rip it off. Let's go on the main riff. That's not it. I'm talking about the chorus, I think. Yeah, it's the chorus. And yeah, it's got like harmonics in that chord. It's also like really interesting one. I don't know the exact term for it. Like, say like that's like 5 and that's 6. It goes like 5 to, what would it be? Like, I'm trying to think of scales now. 4, 3, 2. I'll say like 6 to 1, no, 5 to 1, then 6. That's probably the progression that we're looking at here. If I've got it right. I don't know if I have though. Does it even go up to 6? I'm looking at my chart above my head. Yeah, it's an interesting progression, and it's also got some great filler as well. It's just a progression bit. It also takes the same sort of pattern, it's just different chords. And also you got this sort of groove metal bit, I call it. Because it's a heavier bit again. The lead is also kind of heavy too. I didn't realise how good the bass was on this, what the fuck? That's interesting. Yeah. It's a good track, and the solo is quite simple, I think. It's nothing special in my opinion, but it does the job. That's what's important. Yeah. That's the song. So anyway, let's move on to the first topic. So, League of Gentlemen season 3? I can't remember if I did that. If I didn't, just sum it up, it's not good at all. It's quite lazy and quite bad. But I have to mention the anniversary specials, which I finished with, and yeah, it still lacks a lot of things I feel are important. Like, it's lacking a lot of closure, it's lacking a lot of the humour that's actually making it sort of alright. It's quite frustrating to see, to be honest, and I'm not sure about the stereotyping sort of thing. I know it's there just to just make fun of things, like you're not immune to being made fun of, no matter who you are. But it's kind of awkward. It has to be said, it's just not the most pleasant show to watch. And it still remains, in my opinion, probably one of the worst shows to air on the BBC. I'll be honest, I'm still not happy with it. It still lacks something. And that's why I feel it's quite disappointing, because it feels like it could have been better. That literally, it's doing so many things wrong and it just doesn't do anything new. Yeah, like, what gives with this? I honestly don't understand this show, and the fact I've never really heard of it before maybe is a reason why. It's because it actually doesn't stand on its own. Weirdly enough, in the anniversary special, they made fun of it. The Bad Reviews season 1, I think. I didn't actually look at the reviews. I'm pretty sure it's like highlighting a review of it, and literally them saying series 1 should have been where it stopped or something. I can't remember what it said exactly. But yeah, like, this series is strange. It doesn't work in my opinion for what it's trying to do. It's just lacking a lot of essential details here and there. Yeah, like, what else do I even add? Just one of those things, I guess. Like, it just could be so much better and so much more, and there just isn't. this is besides like some sort of distasteful bits with like Barbara, obviously, like throughout the series, not just in the anniversary special where there was one or two. It's like, yeah, this series doesn't do anything. It's just like you're waiting for it to do something, and it just doesn't do it, and that's what's making it bad. What else is there even to add to this? Because I'm not even sure at this point. Because I pretty much touched on everything. But the thing with the anniversary special is it's a sort of it's a follow-up, obviously, of some bits, and it's just a celebration of it. It's coming to like what 15 or how many years is it? The first aired in 1999 apparently, and this one aired in 2017. This anniversary special. So it is a bit up to date in that sense, and every character is a bit older, I should mention. But yeah, it just felt lacking still, despite that. It had the character traits for short while. It's good to see the crazy dad again. Not fucking hell, like, it's designed to make you uncomfortable. That's the entire point of it. A lot of these scenes, there's even like a fucking body horror scene, like in the first episode, I think, with the vet, which was actually amazing. That was pretty brilliant. Yeah, like, I'm not really sure. It's still one of these series I'm not sure about, and I guess I could touch on a bit of that actually, because I was going to do some investigating. Because the thing that concerned me about it is a BBC show, and as we know about the BBC, they are dodgy as fuck, unfortunately. It feels like a lot of what they do is just run by corruption and just very faulty morality as well. And given that the show aired there and they also like promoted themselves, it seems like they're just full of themselves in this series. And yeah, so let's see, like, it's created by 4 people: Jeremy Dyson, Mark Gatiss, Steve Peterberg. Oh no, Steve, he was on Taskmaster, and Reece Shears, and he was on Taskmaster. I didn't recognise him at first. What the fuck? But yeah, like, what sort of controversies do these people have? I wonder. Like, I hate to look at it, but because it's the BBC, you just never know with that sort of thing. And there's always sort of a fishy thing when they come from there. They look sort of like a... no, I don't know what to call it actually. They sort of do weird shit there, and actually, I won't say who, but I do know some connections, I will say. I'm not saying who again, because I actually don't fucking know. But it does seem like a lot of the people who get into the BBC are just fucking full of themselves. And sometimes the creators themselves can often portray or even put themselves in this in a way, like a lot, like is it Liam? Not Liam Gallagher, that's Oasis. Liam guy, Linehan, that's it. But like he did with his shows, which, yeah, okay, I guess. Certainly had funny moments, but unfortunately he's a fucking giant cunt. He's a transphobe and he doesn't like things. He's like the definition of a snowflake. But sometimes you have people like that, and looking through these people here, it just doesn't seem like there's anything wrong, which is interesting. So I wonder why they even went this route of that sort of thing. One of these genres is surreal humour, which I actually haven't heard of before. What is surreal humour? What's it called? Surreal humour, absurdist humour? Yeah, absurdist, that's probably right. It's a form of humour predicated on deliberate violations of casual reasoning, thus producing events and behaviours that are obviously illogical. Portrayals of surreal humour tend to involve saw juxtapositions, incongruity, non sequiturs, irrational and absurd situations, and expressions of nonsense. Yeah, guess I could sort of see that. It's sort of like how they joke about Barbara and stuff. But as I said, that's sort of the point of it, I think. That's what it's about. But yeah, I didn't look at the director. Nothing on them. So yeah, there's nothing seemingly wrong about the people on this, it seems, which is good. But it did credit the cast in the beginning, so it's possibly something to do with them as well. How it probably went a wrong direction. Yeah, I wish it could have been better. Certainly had the potential. Again, sort of reminded me of South Park in some ways, but in a lot of other ways, it's like, as I described it before, it's like Monty Python, but sort of horror themed. It's not actually scary, that's the thing. You know, blackface might scare you, the portrayal of Barbara might scare you, but in the end, it's not really a big deal. I don't really think there's anything worth fussing about with this. So yeah, I saw it. But for that reason, I can just not recommend it. It is really nothing special. If you have to watch a BBC show, one I'd strongly recommend, it'd probably be Blackadder. And also the Young Ones. The Young Ones was pretty good as well. They're a bit more sort of relevant as well, which is great. Not Blackadder, but Young Ones, actually. Still kind of relevant, weirdly enough. I didn't notice that with the show. It's crazy, but it is, again, sort of a similar thing we're seeing. It's sort of like history repeating itself in a way. Yeah, that's The League of Gentlemen. Finally done with it, and it won't appear in my things of 2026 because obviously I didn't enjoy it that much. Again, the humour is just, and the characters for that matter, what's going for it. It's not really anything to do with the story, which itself was lacking. Just to put a spoilery version of this on there, I guess, to put it down obviously in writing. Well, I say writing, but technically it's like writing with air and words and voices. Wait a minute. But what was I going to say? Like, what? I think I forgot what I was going to say. Fucking mind blank moment. Fuck's sake. Yeah, I can't remember. It's definitely not coming back to me, that's for sure. Right, so that's the end of that, I think, unless... Hang on, I feel sight. No, it's gone again. I don't know anymore. But yeah, so that's The Good Gentleman. That's my thoughts on it. I know people may not be happy with my review of it, but this is my opinion, this is my enjoyment. Yeah, I spent the entire time watching the entire series and I still couldn't really get many laughs out of it. There are definitely some laughs, but it's not really suited for a storyline sort of situation and that I guess. It's so weird. But anyway, I better move on because I'm busy, got stuff to do. So yeah. Precious minerals. But yeah, that's about it, I think. I'm not really planning on getting any other DRG things, even though it is one of the best games of all time. I definitely can't justify it with these sort of prices and in this day and age as well. Like, it's a fucking joke, and as far as I know, it doesn't support anyone, so it's not like it's a thing where you're like, oh, you're paying developers as well to keep up a good game. They wouldn't word it like that. I don't know. It's very strange to me. It could always be like a corporate or investor thing. You never fucking know, because even then, they're corrupted enough that it could happen. Could always be a thing. It sucks for sure. I don't know where to start. So yeah, that's the topic. Not fun, but it's there. Anyway, let's move on. This is a horse with no name. He's called Dixon. Yeah, what the fuck? There's 3 pots. So I don't know if people have played it or aware of it, but Eureka, I've pretty much been here, done that, and I'm on my 4th final stage relic weapon, which is almost done. But it has to be said that, like, whoever thought of the fucking logo system, I have some very harsh words for you. Because it's one of the worst systems in the game compared to something like in Bolster, where you have the lost stuff. And the lost stuff was a better execution of it, which I wish was a thing here. But the thing with the logos here, or the lost, is the logos just seem so scarce, and there's no way to efficiently farm them as far as I know. Because I just randomly drop the items that are necessary for it. So for example, if you want to get the Spirit of the Indomitable, not Spirit, wait, Spirit of the Remembered. Wait, hang on. Oh yes, like Wisdom and Spirit, I forgot about that. But if you want that, you've got to either use a whole Spirit itself, or craft 3 things together, which is like Aether Weaver, Martialist, and Plate Bearer, which takes up a lot, and it's a waste to craft them at a certain point, as I've found out. But it's really frustrating because it essentially means you need to be able to get these things consistently in order to use it. So the crafting system is already shit and against you, and if you're farming specifically critical encounters, not necessarily like the bunnies or the lock boxes rather, then you're gonna struggle because there is no way around it. It really fucking sucks, in all honesty. Like, I really don't fucking get it. This system is just garbage, because the thing that would actually fix this, and also the lost system, is to be able to interswitch them. Basically, gain all the items needed. So say you need about 20 of a certain logos to unlock a plate bearer. Have the ability be permanent, but you can only carry 2 at a time, like you can now. That's the gimmick. That's how you design a game. Not a fucking waste and an economy around it. Which in my opinion is fucking ridiculous, and there's also incentive for people to buy it anyway. So say there's like a rarer one, like Spirit of the Remembered, which ironically this would contribute to. You need like, say, 50 of them, and you get this permanent maximum HP and accuracy buff, and a chance of revival. 50 of them, you could pop it every time you enter an instance, but only once. Friction and economy. Solved. Like, it's not hard. It is really not fucking hard to figure this out. So, that's how I'd fix that system. Like, what else do I need to say? It's so fucking blatantly obvious. How absurd is it that we have a system here that's so scarce, and also you lose XP if you die? Because, again, I'll explain my situation, but I've only got like Skirmisher and Martialist and 1 Guardian that I can use at the moment, because I don't have any other fucking access. I didn't get the logograms in the grind I've done since to be able to get those things more accurately and more consistently, rather. So as a result, I'm almost a burden because I can't actually do anything now. It's such a terrible system. It needs to change. Same with the lost system as well. I hate how things are used, and then there's this other factor which I only realised after the fact, which I don't know how I didn't notice before. Maybe I was just a bit better with timing, or maybe I did notice, I just didn't really take note of it. But it has a really unfair system in terms of if you get kicked for inactivity or if you have to leave, both of which people have to do, by the way. That's something that people do and have to do. It could be because of an emergency, or it could be, like in my case, I have Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. They both are the same thing pretty much. But I have to like get up randomly at the moment I feel something going on in my bowels, as I call it, an elemental conflict. A bit like these, to be fair. I have to get up, and I risk being kicked to inactivity, and then all my fucking logos are wasted. So it's not even an accommodating system. If you had maybe like 20 minutes of inactivity, that'd be more fair. And especially for people with like, I don't know if people with epilepsy play this, it'd be difficult to play, I imagine. But people like that would be able to recover from any sort of issue, as long as like people are there and there's like a trigger. I know that some epileptic people have like a way to detect these things and also alert people, so it's like possible. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, this system needs to change. It needs to be much better executed and just more accessible. Like, what else do I even say? It is so fucking obvious, and it's embarrassing for a game that's been out for as long as this to be so backwards. It truly is. And I feel embarrassed to play it sometimes. I don't know anything like this ever existing in World of Warcraft. And to be fair, World of Warcraft was shit because you couldn't even do the legacy content. As far as I know, you still can't. I don't know what Midnight is like, but Jesus, like, how fucking ridiculous. Yeah, like, I just don't like the logo system. Simple as that. It's never been my favourite point of it, and admittedly it makes gameplay easier. I love that part of it. But it makes gameplay harder, because if you use it and you waste it, well, it's gone. And given that some of them go upwards of about 100,000 gil, what the fuck are you doing? Why are these limited use? It just doesn't make any sense. And, you know, even in the case of like Spirit of the Remembered, you know, there's not even a guarantee that you would even be revived, so it's even more of a waste. It's like almost not worth having. So why would you spend a lot of gil on that when you could just craft it for cheaper, probably, and just get along easier? But it only makes sense as well because those in Arsenal, which don't even give you the logograms, I don't think. As far as I know, it doesn't give you any. It didn't give me crystals, I know that. I was quite angry about that because it's like, what the fuck? I did this really difficult raid and you reward me with nothing, essentially, other than the great mount. But it's quite embarrassing to see because, you know, it just doesn't need to exist. A lot of these things do not need to exist the way that they are executed. So it just doesn't make sense. What else is there? I can't think of anything else, but Jesus Christ. And then there's the uselessness of Skirmisher in an overworld or critical encounter scenario where it doesn't actually help. In fact, it can be a burden. That's why Platebearer is so superior on a DPS. And even Bloodbath I'm actually using here as well. My god. Like, it isn't embarrassment, it is fucking stupid. What else do I even say? It's bad, it's objectively bad, and I've seen people complain about it. And I don't want to be spending hours going back to saying, I don't know, Pyros, because that's probably where it's just first spawns. But I don't want to go back to that and farm out a bunch of enemies just to get a plate bearer. Well, fuck that, I'll just use whatever I've got. Like, there's no fucking point. And then you have to also consider the fact that a lot of these endgame things are right out of people's comfort zones, because one of the bigger issues is you can't necessarily get all the abilities that you need. So there is that danger of like not being able to wrap your head around it. Yeah, I just dislike it as a system, even though it's got good ideas. It's just badly executed, obviously. But I'd much rather the crafting system where you grind it out multiple times. Like, say, I just got to Pyros for the first times, and you know, you can grind out the grams that you need. Whether it's like a weather-specific thing where they transmute and you need to farm that for the boxes, and they give you the logo, and you need like 10 of them or 15, whatever it is, or you can buy them, and you get something cool, something useful, and have that as a permanent buff that you can switch in and out as you wish. And maybe even level it up, like, who knows, maybe there's a point for a system where you can level it up to like 5 times, but only with like a, I don't know, like however many bonuses you can add, like 5% increase to stats each time. And that'd be extremely useful, not to mention Baldessian Arsenal, which should also increase its value. So it's like the developers here haven't even thought about this at all. There's no thoughts in their heads when it comes to this stuff, and that worries me a lot with a lot of the game's aspects. And given that I'm casual anyway, I don't even expect I'll be talking about more hardcore stuff like this, which it is. Because it is more hardcore. A lot of people strive for that thing, they strive for the completion, they do crazy things just to get these levels and areas. This is ridiculous. I can't believe it. I don't know what else to add, but that's pretty much the gist of it anyway. Yeah, it's a shame though, because it could be done better, and I do like the abilities. Some of them were pretty cool. As I said, not well executed. I think I better move on. So yeah. Finally, it's happened again. I'm done with my grind for the most part in Final Fantasy XIV. So, yeah, it's quite interesting because I wasn't planning on getting another Relic weapon after Eureka. I ended up trying Bolster because I was curious. And I was also not satisfied with some of my choices, I have to admit. It did feel kind of off in that way, in a strange way, because I just didn't feel satisfied with the choices I made, obviously. I feel like it's very hard to pick a relic weapon when there's not a whole lot of choice when it's in front of you, because you can't find the one you want, and you have to do like individual searches, which is just so fucking tedious, and so you can't find anything that colour matches or effect matches or anything. It's impossible. So that ends up becoming a issue. Like, what then? Like, I see the issue as I don't know how to fucking say it, or I'm also trying to figure out how to fix this fucking thing, this macro. I don't know. I'll figure out at some point. I'll keep it open. I'll see what I can interrupt. No, I can't. Okay. Do it later then. Yeah, I wasn't planning on another relic weapon, but I ended up getting one. FFXIV. No, it's actually Eorzea Armory. That's what it's called. It shows pretty much most of the weapons in the game and the relics and stuff, and that's been useful because I found great things on there. And even for something like Gunbreaker, I found something that I've considered, but I don't really want to get it, to be honest. And I'm just waiting for the right place or right thing rather to drop it. So it becomes more about that rather than anything else. And yeah, it feels like a relief to be done now. I remember just the last fate for this relic weapon was Daphne, the tourist monster actually. And that took obviously a while to do. It took an entire day to actually get the 300 remaining. I'd say about 280 actually, not 300. But we had like so many ovni spawns, it's actually kind of crazy. There's about 5 or 6 today. And we only had one penny spawn and one setter as well. So it's a bit odd. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit strange. Of course, like the 80 that I already had was from just dropping in and out from other ones, so yeah, today's been crazy. But I just feel a lot of weight off my shoulders now. That's done. I can focus on the weeklies that I've not done, which is basically major at the moment. And after that, I'll do the screenshots again. I keep forgetting I need to do those. And then after that, 3 reigns pretty much. Just doing mount grinds, I guess. I still got to do like the tank ones, which are relatively easy and I could drop in and out of. So I don't need to focus on them as much. But I could try others. I've got what I've got here actually is quite close. Got some mounts I'm unsure about game, which is the Ornamental Shroplet, Chandelier First Light, and Feline Support Team Cart for the new trial. Now I've got Golden Saucer, which I do want to try actually. That might be the first priority. Then there's Silky, can't remember how you get that. For raids, M12S sadly, I'm going to try P12S, which seems possible. Delta Escape and Sigma Escape, which are going to be easy. I've got like 3 PvP slash event ones, and then Gabriel Mark III from Delubrum and Regine. Wait, what? Didn't I get that? Hang on. I thought I already had a Gabriel. There's so many fucking Gabriels. That's the golden one. I bought it already. I've got that. So that can go away. Cold Crescent, Fort Tower, Demon Horn, Pinky, which I'll buy with Gil eventually. Wondrous Tales, all in the works. But that's about it. There's no other amounts. And then I'm just going to do some grey questing and maybe just grind out these other phases when I'm bored. I've got my 7.5 plan. I've got stuff to do in between if I need to, like Island Sanctuary, sightseeing logs. It was for the roundabout between, and extreme boredom. I've got listed Eureka, Bolster, slash active relic quest, and then Firmament. Find Black Mage outfit using dies. I also need to keep track of what I've completed and what I haven't completed. I wonder if there's an easy way to do that. If there's a spreadsheet or something I can update. Because that'd help me in grinding out things if I get to that point. That's maybe for a future thing. Yeah, that's almost it. I've got things to finish off actually. I've got a list here. Gallery, blue spells. I forgot I need to do blue. I need to go back on actually and farm, or rather camp. Not today actually, tonight. Might do it tomorrow. I need to camp that launcher fate because that for some reason didn't give me the fucking launcher ability. It seems to be the easier way to do it for me anyway, because yeah, like I don't know. I could make a group and I might try that first, but I don't know. And then craft a quest, which I'll do eventually. I'm not sure about doing the Fisher gathering quest. I've considered that for a while. Apparently it takes like weeks to do, which is fucking stupid. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that. And given how annoying fishing is anyway, like why bother? Just leave it. It's too tedious. I've already sort of left a suggestion to change that, and whether it gets acknowledged or not, yeah, it's not up to me. Yeah, so that's pretty much about it. found a black mage outfit, was that? This is the let's get my endgame list of mathematics. I need to spend those actually. Then what else is there? What's the PvP series? I track all like things. I might need to update my rather like fix the showcase for basically what I do to keep track of everything. So I've still got priorities, dailies, relic weapons, mounts. Oh, Greekus. That's not my priorities, yeah. Custom deliveries, don't need to acknowledge that anymore actually, it's kind of relevant now. Slowly, my list is getting shorter. I went from about, I guess, about 16, 18 pages to 12. Speaking of which, I still need minions from the Venture stuff, which is the most pages from it. There's still 5 to go, so it's a bit annoying. It's like complete RNG, which is dumb, and most of it is from either random quick adventures or just minor and botanist related ones. But yeah, it feels good to be done with though, has to be said. I've learned a lot in the last few weeks, last month or two rather, of all this. It's been kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, anyway, I think I better move on to the next topic because I pretty much discussed everything here. Yeah, fun. So I have an interesting thing with this. It's very strange, but very interesting, I suppose. It depends on the type of things you're into. I'm not really into the thing I'm talking about, as you'll see. I just finished watching the Oscars video where they were essentially doing a ghost hunt, and I watched the extended version because I remember. Yeah, like even after all that, I'm still not convinced, and I don't think I ever will be, to be honest. Because the thing I realised with ghosts is a lot of it is much like UFOs, a conspiracy. It's almost a conspiracy anyway, and it's often one of those things where people will often damage the, not necessarily reputation, that's not the word, but the idea of it. They'll tarnish it, I think is what I'm meant to say. And that ends up fucking it over because in the end it is quite a big deal when there is actual truth to things. But there's so much untruth in ghosts and ghost hunting for that matter that you just can't believe what you see. And in fact, there's even like proof that so the correlations and stuff that people make do not help this one bit. It's literally really bad. So I don't know, like my sort of idea here is that you can't trust everything you see, and that's a fundamental truth. It's like out coughing, it's damn long COVID, I think. Pretty sure it is anyway, I could be wrong. It's the only thing that would have symptoms like that, I suppose. But I wrote a few things down in this, and there's some things to remember, and just keep in mind when looking at it. First of all, there's a logical inconsistency, which for me is like one of the biggest things that debunks ghosts, and I struggle to understand how, throughout the billions of years that Earth has existed, how come we only have like a select few ghosts in one area? Like, what the fuck? It genuinely doesn't make any sense. Unless there's like multiple dimensions, but it still doesn't really explain it, to be honest. I'm still confused with that. It still doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So yeah, like even from that perspective, it's like you can't exactly believe what you hear or see all the time, and that's because there's supposed to be billions of them. Supposed to be billions of these damn fucking ghosts, and yet we don't even see half of them. We don't even see a small percentage. So there's already that issue. There's a lack of explanation to that very thing. Which possibly has an explanation, you never know. Just maybe not found it yet, or maybe not thought about it. That's one of the things. Then I wrote down some more, and the other thing is, much like gods and religion, people seem to find something to cling on to for hope or boredom or just some sort of gimmick. Like literally, you got religious people who are called Greeks in some cases who use it to just get, not religious people, just people in general just use it for profit. Which is definitely questionable and definitely sort of wrong in its own way. Like, it is bad, it has to be said. Yeah, but clinging on to that as a form of profit, as a form of whatever, is going to have its issues, I think. But people need to understand that. Because that's not going to help your argument, it's not going to help the evidence. You're not facing the alligators with that. Wait, no, that's something else. But you won't face the allegations well. But again, it ties into that UFO thing. People say that, oh, they've been abducted, they've been attacked, they've seen things that we haven't. And how are you supposed to believe them when so many people, especially like in these cases like ghost hunters and even just people who investigate UFOs and conspiracies, they specifically deceive you and make profit from your essentially gullible belief in these things. So it's kind of bad, it's selfish. It's fucking crazy how terrible that is. Look, what else am I supposed to say? It's just one of the things that people need to understand is, in reality, you are being exploited for all these things, and it possibly might happen in everyday life. You have to understand at a certain point, you are being fucking used. You're the sheep, and they're the herder. It's literally all that is. That always plays with your mind, and it requires a belief, yes. But holy shit, it is bad. Like, come on. And then it's just, sometimes these things are bad in themselves. I'll get into it actually, but we could talk about it now. So like use it for hope or boredom to explain things like maybe they want to believe that somehow their family is a ghost or are ghosts, whatever happens. It's a lot of escapism, that's the term I was looking for. And yeah, that's problematic in its own way. But like, how do you even avoid that anyway? Because people are just vulnerable in a sense. It's not always avoidable. So you do get wondering about how viable it is to even debunk some of these things. I'm trying to think what else there is. It's like, it's not really an interesting topic in realistic terms. It's just like one of those things where you feel like you need to address it. That's why I'm talking about it. That's where we get here. That's how we get here. It's something to mention because it does sometimes affect people's lives. The amount of times I've heard conspiracies from people that just end up not being true anyway, it's just fucking absurd. Like even COVID things have affected a lot of people and even sort of bled themselves into daily life in a way. So everything just gets fucked with these just nonsensical beliefs and ideas that for some reason people choose to believe. There's not exactly a definitive proof of it. Yeah, it just gets real bad. Then what's this other thing I had? Yeah, this is the other thing. With like specifics in this, it's to do with also coincidence, and this is what I find with it as well. Like is it Ouija boards? I can't remember what they're actually called. I think it's Ouija boards. Yeah. But it's often coincidence, and sometimes people do fake it. As I said, it's like people exploit you. You get like someone moving the fucking Ouija board, like they practice it for hundreds of hours or something, just to move it and convince you that a ghost is real and speaking to you. Like for what? For fucking profit to scare the daylights off someone? Genuinely, it doesn't make much sense. It always just annoys me in that sense. It just feels so unnecessary. I've had people somehow be convinced, and apparently I've been cursed with Ouija board before. Even then, I'm not 100% sure it is to do with that, because, it's coincidence, always. And consider this as well, like my curse, apparently, was having someone in my family have played with Ouija board. Right, normal stuff, but apparently they pissed off a ghost, and it cursed me to have nightmares. And yeah, I did have nightmares as a kid. You want to know why it isn't a coincidence? Let's look this up. How many dreams do we have in one night? Because this is the point I'm getting at. So apparently, you can dream like multiple times in a night. The average person has 3 to 5 dreams per night. Some may have up to 7. But most dreams are immediately forgotten or quickly forgotten. Dreams tend to last longer as the night progresses. During 4 to 8 hours night sleep, most dreams occur in the typical 2 hours of REM. Yeah, that makes sense. That's what happens, but that's the thing. My curse for having nightmares turns out it still exists, but that's because you believe it is a curse. But it's actually a fucking coincidence. Because yeah, I still have plenty of nightmares. It's just what's crazy to me is people believe this shit. Are you kidding me? It's just a whole load of ridiculousness. I do not understand how people actually believe this, to be honest. What else do I even add here? What the fuck is going on? Yeah. The world is obviously a strange place and people will believe whatever they want, but at the end of the day, I think demonstrable evidence and proof is really something, and again with the coincidence, that's not always going to mean it is related to that thing, like how for some reason people want to believe that a lot of like pro LGBTQ plus stuff is like baiting or what's that term? Pandering, that's it. And they want to believe that, but in the end it's not true because the fact is these things unfortunately coincided. So corporations, when obviously LGBTQ plus was starting to gain traction again, immediately jumped on that bandwagon to get profit. It's not because they actually agree with that. In fact, a lot don't. You see that nowadays. It's because they wanted to profit off us, and then it's being obviously misconstrued. Like, there's so much misinformation about it. It's actually fucking ridiculous how bad that is. Yeah. It's all coincidence. It's just the point I'm trying to make. So you can't really say that this is all true without any demonstrable evidence. It's simply not. It's not at the moment. But yeah, like spirit boxes as well. Like they are a coincidence because they cycle through a bunch of radio stations and gibberish, and you just randomly pick out a word. It's like, oh, it said box. It said something else. I don't know what. I'm trying to think of something made up. I don't know. Something that Lady Gaga says. I'm trying to think. Poker. Like maybe I'll say that. But it's all coincidence. As I said, and because it cycles through everything, you're gonna hear something eventually. Like in the brief window that it does pick up something. And it's often like, again, a correlation. Like people believe that ghosts can interact with technology and devices, and suddenly that's like, oh, they actually are communicating with us. But they don't actually communicate with us. And people hear like voices in some places. Here's so many different things. Like the voices you hear on like a camera, for example, is explained by the components because they make noise. Yes, even your phone makes noise. You just can't hear it. But that's why it picks up. So it's not even real. It's just coincidence again. And I've seen clips before of like ghosts and hauntings and all that sort of shit, and it's all explainable. Like people claim they saw a face or something, and that's all coincidence. You're like hallucinating, especially when you're aware of the situation. Ghost hunting, you start to correlate things. You start to see those things more because like your adrenaline's maybe high, mind's racing, and you'll start to see those things. I've seen random shit that doesn't exist, for example. This is when my heart rate's been high, or if I'm stressed or high blood pressure. Yeah, it could all be chalked up to that essentially. It's just real frustrating to see because a lot of this is obvious, but some of it just doesn't seem to be, which is disappointing. Because I think it's quite easy to see when these things are there. I never got to do the thing I was meant to do. Yeah, it's all coincidence. I don't know what else there is to even add or say. I can't really think if I'm missing something, if anything. I can't really remember. Yeah, essentially I don't believe in ghosts, I don't even really believe in curses. It's one of those things, it has to be demonstrated, it has to be proven, and that's pretty much all it is. Until you can demonstrate these things, I don't think there's any belief at all. I don't think it's ever going to be proven, in all honesty. It's all just a bunch of bullshit, and it rolls people up, it makes them scared, it grabs curiosity, for example. It's super weird. It's just one of those things, I guess, that people just want to believe these things. For some reason or another, copium, escapism, whatever it might be. Yeah. I don't really know what else to add, but that's essentially it, I think. So yeah, let's move on. So, we just finished the movie. Okay, that's weird, the image started again. Pretty much been able to turn it off, but I don't know why it's appearing again randomly on this OBS, but anyway. I just got finished watching the first Naked Gun movie, because I've never seen it. And to be clear, I haven't seen the TV show, is it called Police Squad? Could be mistaken by that. Sorry, just another random cough. What I've got to say is, this movie is fucking amazing. I haven't seen a movie that's good in quite a while, and that's really saying something given the few that I do see and kind of on the fence about. I mean, it's acted, so it is a bit got different to live action, obviously. But it has to be said that this is actually real good. It's actually so good that it made my not only my things for 2026, but also my Hall of Fame, where typically I reserve for movies I really liked, and this is one I really liked. It's actually crazy. I can't believe it. But to go through the movie, I'll try to be spoiler free. I can't guarantee it. It's incredible in every aspect. Like, the intro was unexpected, it had some great comedic effects. Then it goes into a bit more the things happening. Has really great intro with I think it's a nod to Police Squad, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I haven't seen it, but I do know the reference, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Even then, it's just so iconic that I recognised it instantly. It really went without saying that it's actually a great intro. And then we get into the story bit. Start with, I think, God, it's OJ's fucking character, isn't it? Isn't OJ the one who killed someone? Could be mistaken. I thought, okay, this maybe didn't age well. But he was playing Nordberg, and yeah. Like, in terms of acting, this film is actually decent. It's mainly Leslie Nielsen that carries it. His acting is pretty damn good for what it is. Obviously, it's kind of a style. There's a lot of different styles in acting in this sense. But yeah, I wasn't like massively impressed, but I will say it's just decent enough. Then what else happens? Hang on, another cough. Yeah, like, the acting's good, and the comedy is just consistent throughout until, like, I'd say the 3/4 mark, where it sort of lessens itself a bit. It's a bit more held back, which I don't mind. I'll say the parts leading up to it is honestly worth it, in my opinion. But it is good. I'm trying to think. Where am I now? Fucking cough is distracting me. I could barely do this. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think this series, honestly, the series one. I've only seen one. I'm talking about, but this movie is just incredible. There's just so many good things to say about its aspects. The story itself is kind of cliche here and there, but they put some great twists on it, and the comedy ties into it as well. Like the the Queen bit, you'll see later. Fucking disaster, and yeah, there's some really great moments in this. I reckon pretty iconic, and I recognise some of them from The Simpsons. And then I decided after the movie I wanted to look at the trivia, and apparently Mel Brooks went on this. I'm pretty sure Mel Brooks did part of The Simpsons. That's really interesting. Sorry. But it's kind of cool. Yeah, like Mel Brooks. It's like a suggestion the bad things about it hits someone else. Pretty sure he did Simpsons, right? Embarrassing if he didn't. Yeah, it is 1995. Wait, was that the year it came out? I don't know. There isn't really much interesting trivia. I just think a lot of it's like American culture, so I don't know exactly. But there's like nods to famous baseball players and stuff. Yeah, just all that. Trying to think what else. No, it's not coming to me. I will say that the music isn't very noticeable. It's not my primary thing when I think about a movie, even though it can help. But I just don't find it that interesting here and there. But it's also got music from the time as well. And what else is there? Like, the acting, it's really its only thing, as I said. Stories okay, yep. there's not really much else to say, to be honest. Like, it's quite a simple movie, but it has great humour. And that's really the appeal for it, I think. Just trying to think, like, what is there else to say? Because this is quite short for a review. But yeah, the one thing that I disliked, and this is just my personal thing, like hang up on this, I guess, where I'm just a bit unsure about sort of why they decided this thing. But it's about the age gap. Like, I already knew where this is going, but there is an age gap problem, I think, and that did feel a bit weird to me. I know it's the 80s, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I'm not sure if this is good or not. It's just really awkward, if anything. So yeah, I'm a bit on the fence about that. So that didn't age well, and obviously maybe the OJ Simpson thing, being an actor, but I don't think you can really change that, to be honest. Yeah, like, honestly, it's just a really good movie. It's funny. I wouldn't say the storyline's interesting, but it is good. I wouldn't say it's amazing like others out there. But yeah, it's definitely one of the best comedies I've seen, hands down. It has to be said, the amount of jokes there are, the amount of gags as well, the gimmicks as well. Like, it's brilliant. You can really see where Simpsons got inspiration here, weirdly enough. Like, it's really strange that the fact that this sort of has ties to The Simpsons. It's very weird. But anyway, yeah, I haven't really got anything else to say. So yeah, I ought to move on. So I've got stuff to do. I'm coughing to cough. So, did anyone else see that CEO Slop? As I did, sadly. And it's just fucking annoying, like, holy crap. It is unbelievable that these people exist. Like, legitimately, it's unbelievable. I do not understand why this even is a thing. But for some reason, someone is so insecure out there that they fucking, like, they get someone to, or commission someone to make this all work or something. I'm not sure if it's AI, I don't think it looks like AI. It's like really insecure men out there who just commission this piece of work, and it's basically a woman standing between two people with the caption, "Who will she pick?" As you could expect, there's a description for each person on there, or two men, basically. On the left, in the left-hand corner, you've got a 38-year-old millionaire who has no debt or anything, obviously. And yeah, but the woman is 20. Was she 18? I think she's 18 actually. She's 18 in the middle. There's not really any description for some reason. And then on the right, you've got a 20-year-old man who essentially is struggling to keep up a job and support himself. I'm probably doing a terrible job of explaining it, because I probably need to look at it, to be honest. It's pretty much on the front page of Answers to LGBT, because this is where it appeared. Let's see, there's a lot of new posts, okay. There it is, for real. Which guy or girl she's at, who is like 19 years old, she is. 38-year-old guy, millionaire, handsome, 6 feet high body count, whatever that means. Own house and luxury car. They can't even fucking spell. They can't even grammar. And then you've got the 20-year-old guy, 5'8", lives on rent, studying / average income virgin. It's just a major yikes. Like, what the fuck? This is like a terrible fucking thing, because it doesn't accurately explain the real world, how that works. Because I've heard the trope of falling for someone who's rich and not necessarily famous, but someone who's just rich. And I honestly just see it backfiring constantly. We've seen it many times with CEOs or billionaires, whoever it is, just end up being absolute cunts. Because that's who they are. Their identity is literally to be a cunt, to be disassociated from reality and even the real world because they have lots of money. As if that ever fucking stops you from putting yourself through this situation that everyone else is in. It's actually ridiculous. Yeah, there are many situations where going for that guy is bad. But you have to look at it from the perspective of what can bring you happiness and joy. And someone who is actually going to be tone deaf, like a CEO Millionaire or something like that. Sorry, noises I can't help it. It's fucking uncomfortable at the moment. I don't know what's going on with this chair. I need a new one. Yeah, like the CEO is not going to bring you happiness, exactly. It's not going to bring you comfort in life either, to be fair, because you don't actually know what they're like. And just because someone's handsome and rich doesn't mean they're going to be nice people. I've seen many situations where handsome people who even are not rich just end up being absolute douchebags. Like, they fucking suck. And to go off that is just ridiculous. And also height as well. Like, why the fuck are we looking at height for a measurement of how attractive or worthy someone is? All these things. Like, it doesn't make sense. And then for like a dating partner, you need to mingle on a not just interest level, but also personal level. Like someone who actually understands you and will respect you, and obviously love you. That's like the most important thing, and this isn't even a mention here. Like, a millionaire doesn't even necessarily acknowledge women as women. So that's always going to be a problem. You see the issue here. And then obviously you've got the guy on the right who is 20 years old, getting average income, paying rent, and a virgin. Let's go down the list. Also 5'8", but again, I've already debunked that. Like, height doesn't fucking matter. If you marry a dwarf who's a good person and you're taller than them, like, I'm not going to fucking judge you. Nobody should. It's like, good for you. In fact, I do know people who date dwarves, weirdly enough, but it's another thing entirely. But yeah, it's a non-issue. So these things that they're bringing up as bad points, supposedly they're trying to frame it that way anyway. It's not gonna work because, as I said, the happiness, satisfaction you also get from how well you mingle, like how many interests or personal beliefs you have in common. So if this 20-year-old may not be earning the most money and is a virgin, it doesn't even fucking matter who's a virgin or not. A lot of people are, and frankly, a lot of people are happy with that. But it doesn't mean that they're good at it, that's the thing. People seem to mistake that for being good at, I don't know, sex or something, but it doesn't inherently mean that they are. It's something else to explore, but I won't go into it here. But with everything else, like, you find the happiness with how you get on with the person. You won't get along with a millionaire, I can almost guarantee that. But with this 20-year-old, someone your age, someone potentially into the same interests you are, it's gonna be more beneficial. Like, yeah, people seem to point out that the money will bring you happiness and joy, but it's not gonna prevent the problems that come after, which is obviously potentially a bad husband, a bad partner, whoever. There's just a lot of bad things that come from bad people, and that's the point I'm trying to make. And it's even true for people who maybe are, again, like the 20-year-old in that situation. They can also be bad people. you just never know. There are warning signs, and we should always acknowledge them and make people aware. But once again, going for someone who's like 20 years old, your age, is probably going to bring you more joy and happiness overall. Like, it might not bring you security, it just goes without saying, especially in the cost of living crisis, but at least you're going through it together. You go through the same insecurity, and that's fine, really. Like, there ain't much to really say on that. Like, we're all going through a tough time at the moment, so really is a non-argument to even make a point of this being bad, because everyone's going through it. But you're just going to go with the 1% because you don't want to go through that. It's fucking corrupt. And yeah, that's the other point I wanted to get onto. Didn't realise this until now, but it is literally corruption. You're chasing the money rather than someone who can bring you more meaning to life. As in, we find our own meaning, that's what I mean. Without more like ownership or anything, it's fucking evil stuff. That's also corruption, by the way. Yeah, like someone who can bring you just more interesting parts of life and aspects. Maybe even show you things you didn't even know before. It's always possible. Certainly because I've opened my own mind up to things. This is where sort of my own dating experience comes in. I dated quite a few different women over the years. My first ever girlfriend in school was physically disabled. She wasn't in a wheelchair, but she had issues bad enough that she couldn't take the stairs, for example. Had to take an elevator, which is fine. But I do find it kind of sort of awkward to address, because she ended up, again, like I was saying, like she ended up being kind of an arsehole to me in the end. Not in the relationship, but sort of after it ended. That's sort of a friend claiming that she cheated on me and something like that. It's like stupid, which I didn't even really understand. Like, I had to ask what being done towards. I had to ask what being cheated on was. There's so many fucking things I need to explain it because I'm not used to it. I'm still quite new to that sort of thing at that time. I was only like 13, I think, maybe even 12. Yeah, so I'm quite new to that. But later on, sort of went out with someone in adulthood. When I was, I think, 18, met someone who's about 4 years older than me, which isn't a terrible age gap, to be fair. That's quite reasonable, in my opinion. And she was nice in a few areas, but there were obviously a bunch of flaws, which obviously led to breaking apart, and I'm mostly in the wrong for my own actions, to be fair. And not a lot of people would admit to that, but I had my own issues, and it was entirely my fault. I sort of blame myself for that happening, but at the same time, it's a fucking relief. It's a relief to be out of it because of the fact that the types of people we're around are kind of iffy most of the times. Essentially, I don't want anything to do with them, really. But it'd be a fucking mistake if they came back, to be honest. But that's another thing, anyway. But yeah, like, the relationship was fine. And having known her, she actually taught me a lot about how the world works. Like, in strange ways, she did. It's like, it's quite eye-opening to be in that relationship, because it showed me a lot of things about life that I didn't already know. Sort of introduced to not safe for life content, which is like, obviously, real death, and sort of how both morbid and interesting it can be. There are interesting aspects, but it's not fun. I wouldn't describe it as fun at all. It's just enlightening. I really hate thinking about it, to be fair. But sort of that sort of situation. And then what else is there? I think, I don't know, it's about it in the relationship. There's also long distance, I forgot to mention that. But there isn't really anything too secret in that. my partner then. And then, obviously, quite a few years later, like 2024 I think it was, I met another person and yeah, we started dating. It's kind of out of nowhere, sort of like a teasing thing, like literally had like video calls and stuff, and you know, this person was very unique because they didn't have the best voice, and much like mine, it's sort of a impediment sort of thing. Not sure what it is exactly. It's kind of hard to understand as well. I don't understand my own voice, for example. A lot of people don't. But this person, a lot more people wouldn't understand their voice. So that's kind of the complication with that. And that also taught me a lot about just how to be in those sort of relationships. So you need a lot of patience and understanding, if that matters. And I did understand immediately. I knew what the sort of, not stakes, not sure if that's the right term. I knew what needed to be done, essentially. I needed to develop myself and understand her language, her way of speaking, his way of speaking, whoever. And that was quite important. That is a hardship worth having because even though it may be difficult, that's one of the things that can help. That can also give us both confidence. Not only to be understood, but also to be able to learn that. Just like if I had a deaf partner, for example, someone who couldn't hear, being able to learn sign language from them would be fucking amazing. The truth be told, that's one of the languages I do want to learn. Like, I'm not sure if it counts as a bilingual language. I'm not sure if that counts. I'm not sure. But it'd be great to learn either way because it's quite universal, I think, too. Although you do have like British Sign Language, I think, and American Sign Language, so BSL, ASL. But I do want to learn at least British Sign Language. I think that would be useful. It'd also be great for just learning in schools as well. Like being able to learn that would be fucking incredible. I wish I had that in school instead of Spanish. For some reason we have fucking Spanish. Like what? Are you kidding me? We did have a school trip for it eventually, but I didn't really want to go to that. It's not worth it. Yeah, like sign language would be really good. But anyway, that relationship, it ended quite quickly, but still, I think there's like blame on both parts, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's just another relationship. It's not a big deal, in my opinion. I'll say what I took away from that is no matter the hardships, and even then, like the focus wasn't even the fucking money. It wasn't about their height, their age, or even the build. Like, in fact, person in my last relationship, fucking, I don't know if we fit on the bed, a small double bed, which I have. I don't think we'd fit on there together. That's a complication, yeah. But it's like it's a worthy, I wouldn't say sacrifice, but I'd happily give up my bed space for them, basically. I wouldn't mind that. And that's one of the other important parts. It's being able to live with those issues are not really an issue, but one of those things. It's just making sure the other is comfortable and accommodating each other as best as you can. And the focus again isn't on money, it isn't on being fucking loaded or even the most sort of accommodating person in that sense. Well, there are plenty of ways I could have accommodated my partner better then, but I could only do what I can do, and that is something that they had to accept. I'm not some fucking, I don't know what you call it, like extrovert, autistic guy, whatever those are, because that's what M was as well. But I'm not like that, and that does complicate things, but it's something to live with. And you learn from experience as well, so essentially me being this way is actually a good thing. It's something you can learn from and understand. I think that's important, hence why I'm bringing this up. Why this sort of CEO slop is very fucking bad. I hope people don't look at it and think, yeah, this is great, this is good advice, when the reality is actually far different. It's completely different. It's different to the expectation, obviously. It's this, but yeah, people need to not look at this and think, I need to be like that rich person so that girls will have me. That's not how the world works. That's really not how it fucking works. The real world works much differently to that. And when greedy people will be greedy, unfortunately. It's one of the other tough things about reality. What else to even add? It's just crazy scenarios and situations, it seems. There's much avoiding these sort of places and types of people. And also it's just gamble anyway, having a partner or someone. You never know, they could even be nice millionaires, you never know. But it remains to be seen, and also the public eye generally doesn't view rich people favourably because of all the things they're associated with, like corruption, scams, and even just evil things like the high body count thing. I don't really fucking understand. Like, what does that even mean? Like, does it mean he killed people or something? Or has hired people? Or has had a lot of sex? I don't even fucking know. But that's why it just doesn't make sense. I don't know why you go with someone who even then has more experience with relationships, but is probably more of an arsehole, because that means the more relationships they've had, the more of an arsehole they probably were. It's like, obviously they're deemed sort of unworthy, and the fact that they've had 3 relationships with, in my opinion, like 2 of them being quite successful for the most part, it's been kind of rough. Like, technically all successful because of obviously I got my first kiss from the last one. I've never actually had one before. That's progress, and that should be a demonstration of character rather than whether you lose your virginity or not. It's so fucking ridiculous that the focus is on money of all things, as if money is like the biggest fucking problem we have. Like, yeah, it is. But it's not going to solve the other problems, and that's the point I'm trying to make. If we're all in it together. And the other problems will always exist. There's also a good chance if a fucking millionaire, of all people, especially in this day and age, is single, looking for a partner, previously divorced, maybe had other relationships, is a red flag. Just has to be said. And I'd much rather trust someone who doesn't have that money, who's been through that same situation, than someone like that. Like, it goes without saying. Whether other people can figure that out is a fucking mystery. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, pretty much covered on everything here. I think just one of those scenarios again. I feel like bringing it up because it fucking annoys me. I see stuff like this. Just can people just not focus on these things and stop giving people bad ideas or bad advice for once? Instead, listen to your heart. Listen to what women want as well. In the case of thing, women. I don't understand why people go this route. My throat's killing me, so I better move on. So yeah. That's a blast from the past, really enough. Sort of a food thing. I don't know if anyone remembers it, but there used to be a lot of Wimpys around. Depends on where you lived, I think, but I used to have one in my hometown. I don't know where it went, to be honest. But it's a strange sort of food chain. Because I remember it's sort of how, like, I won't say who, but some people met. And not how actually, it's like just sort of being there to support them. But they had some interesting food, I remember. It wasn't as good as McDonald's, I don't think. But it had some new things, which were quite unusual at the time as well. I think the things that I remember most are probably the burgers, I think they're alright. But there was also the sausage burger thing, which was like the sausage that's like bent around into a circle. And it's like such a interesting gimmick. I remember imitating that at home. I think we were taught how to do it actually. You like make some incisions on the sausage itself. Then you like stick it in the microwave and it actually like bends into shape. It's fucking weird but cool. And I used to sort of do that all the time with some of these foods. We got like cheap Frankfurt sausages, they're quite thin as well, and just used to cook them a lot. Just make the sort of budget wimpy burger there. I also had a look at their menu to see if they have anything vegan. I actually didn't look at the full menu. No, let me do it again. Vegan options. Because all that came up was the Beyond Burger, which is a bit strange. And see what Veganuary says. I'm quite interested. So, salad basket, strips and chips. They do that. Plant-based strips and chips. Plant-based wrap. And the Beyond Patty. And sides, jalapenos, sweet potato chips, wimpy chips, nice. Onion rings, peas, unicorn, and corned baked peas. There's actually more options there than KFC and McDonald's combined. But even then, like, I don't know why they don't do a sort of alternative to something like that sausage burger, where it like bends around. And that's the thing with a lot of these places that offer vegan options as well. I don't mind trying different types of chips and stuff like they've got there. I've tried sweet potato chips, they're actually quite nice sometimes. But I don't want to try another fucking Beyond Burger. Piss off. Like, go away. In fact, I plan on trying an Impossible Burger soon because I managed to locate one in the UK. I don't even know. We fucking had them. I knew we had Impossible stuff, but not burgers. But I want to fucking try one of them. And I'm just so bored of seeing the same brand over and over. Like, even if they try to make their own, it's not always that good. Even the ones I have tried, they sort of make themselves, it's just meh. It gets boring even then, because you just don't want to try Beyond Burger for the millionth fucking time. It gets really frustrating, and as a result you just don't want to engage with that, in all honesty. So yeah, I get really frustrated when I see they say they have vegan options, but it's not as expansive as you might think. It's not like a full menu. Like, credit due for Wimpy, it's got a fair few things, you won't get bored, you can do a few visits. But like places like McDonald's and even KFC, they have no fucking excuse. Like, aren't the chips and the beans not vegan? KFC, I'm pretty sure I heard that somewhere. Even like Burger King has options. I remember looking at that. I hate talking about these corporate fucking scumbags. A lot of the times I think if they move more towards plant-based capitalism, it'd be a lesser evil. But they're not doing that, so it's kind of like, why bother? I'm not going to support them in that case. There's no fucking point. Yeah, anyway, it's just a blast from the past, really, seeing Wimpy again. Thanks to the Libby stream. I just didn't expect to see that. I did sort of remember it a while ago, but sort of dismissed it, because it's kind of like, must not have been that great if I hadn't remembered it. But yeah, so super interesting, I just felt like bringing it up. I just wish places were more creative with their products, especially vegan products. I still want to see something like proper vegan dollar kebab stuff. That's one of the biggest things I probably miss from eating meat. It's like dollar kebabs were just some of the best. But there's not really a good vegan alternative, and the one brand that did one once, called Oomph, they've stopped doing this. So, yeah, bye bye, I guess. So there was actually Moving Mountains who tried it, but they do not get that close to it. It's not even fucking close to the Oomph branded one. I was trying to think what else there is that could be mimicked actually. Crab claws maybe? I used to like crab claws from Chinese places. Maybe a seaweed, but technically it is vegan anyway, as long as it's fried properly. It's mainly just like fried cabbage, but I used to like seaweed from Chinese places. Just tried it randomly one day and I fucking fell in love with it. Prawns. Definitely haven't seen proper prawns yet, veganised anyway. Tried like vegan scampi and stuff and shrimpy. Yeah, not sure if that is prawn. And it's alright. Yeah, so many other things that can be mimicked, and I get frustrated as well when companies just seem to fucking fixate on making a new meat product. It's the same thing but different fucking toppings. It just doesn't make sense. If it's just a different seasoning, it's boring after a while. Like, when are we going to start seeing like a barbecue bean burger? When are we going to start seeing a, I don't know, like, I think it's like random, like Korean tofu burger? Like, fucking hell. I salivate at the thought of that. But like these other dishes are already like sort of making their way into meat, just being veganised in a way. It'd just be amazing to try that sort of thing. And yeah, I could probably try it at home, technically speaking, but I've got so many things to use up, I can't do it. Actually, speaking of which, I was supposed to get delivery today, because I want to try making a lasagna. I haven't ever made one, I don't think, at least not vegan. I haven't made a vegan lasagna in a long time. Lasagna at all, really. I'm supposed to get delivery today with the casserole dish, and it hasn't arrived. Speaking of which, I need to write down the lasagna sheets. And, I don't know, maybe cheese sauce if there's a vegan one. There is vegan ones, I know that. Yeah, quite curious. There has to be a way to make it. Do I go with meat-free mince? Or don't I? Because I like lentils as well, but you need to cook the lentils first. So you need like Saturday, okay. Maybe I need to plan this out a bit more. But yeah, I might trying it. But I'd like to try like a set of Korean, maybe breadcrumb sort of burger thing. Like other places have their meat versions of it. But I look at a lot of these things and think, how can I make them more like that? And it's just something I'm curious about. But if not, why aren't restaurants doing this? Yeah, I was also seeing that trend of certain vegan restaurants and plant-based just removing their label of like plant-based because it doesn't get any profit, and then people go in, they obviously buy this food, they eat it, and they like it, and they don't even know it's actually plant-based. And I've seen that quite a few times now. It's not deceiving at all, because if it's labelled as such, then it's not really a fucking issue. But they don't need to state whether they are plant-based, because in the end, in the face of history as well, these places are going to stand the test of time. They're going to be the most morally correct in the face of history, and even culinarily correct. Because in the end, animals aren't food. That just goes without saying. That's where we're at with this. We're at a point now where if you can actually get away with selling products as just food rather than any sort of associated label, like vegan, then it's just gonna benefit everyone. I think you'll realise that there's more to cooking than just meat. There's more to cooking than animal products. Jesus Christ, I've tried the I am not okay cheeses and they've been interesting. I tried like a black pepper log first and that was alright. Then I tried the charcoal one, minor threat. Oh, fucking hell. That was incredible. It's the best cheese I've ever had, I think. It's insane. It's like much nicer than Cathedral City Smoked, which was all that was my favourite. And I missed like Mexicana vegan cheese. I miss when they did that. That was always pretty tasty. It's weird they stopped doing that. But today I tried a black truffle cheese, so vegan, and it's weird. Smell and look, crime against humanity, so I described it. But it actually tasted decent. I wouldn't have it again because the aftertaste isn't so pleasant and the burping smell is quite ugly smelling. But I definitely would consider trying it. It's not something I would ignore. I'd probably try another type, but it actually tasted like mature cheddar. It's like the most mature cheddar vegan cheese I've ever tasted, which is pretty nuts and it's a pretty hard thing to achieve as well. But yeah, as I said, that's what I'm talking about. Veganise everything. I still want to see like a vegan Angel Delight because I do sort of miss that. It's like a cheap, sort of crappy pudding, but it's nice. I used to love that as a kid. I liked every flavour of it as well. The chocolate is probably the best one. There's like so many things I just wish I could see converted, and we do need to do that anyway. So there's literally no loss in doing that in this day and age, especially with climate catastrophe literally peering its head around the corner, and we need to change more than ever. Anyway, I don't think there's anything else to add here, but just a bit of nostalgia and a bit of a rant, I guess. So yeah, let's move on. I don't know if this will fall on deaf ears or what. I feel like mentioning it anyway because it could be important, it could be heard, you never know. But I just finished watching another video. Again, another Moist Critical video. I try not to watch these, but constantly on the recommended page, and I'm a bit curious about some of the contents. It also just teaches me about how to not be corrupt, essentially. Yeah, it's quite important to understand these, and I think if people ignore them, then it's kind of like you're going to be corrupt yourself. You're going to be the problem. And the recent video, well, this is like two of them. One of them is quite easy to explain. Celebrity crimes, because these are really frequent. But celebrity crimes are like some of the worst things you can ever imagine. Sometimes, but other times it's like just something minor but still really bad. And this recent one was kind of bad because it endangers lives, and that's one of the issues. Of course, talking about Tiger Woods, who apparently crashed a car again. Mainly, I don't stay in the loop with whatever the fuck he's doing. I don't really care, to be honest. That's why I don't know much about these people. But I will say, the reason they do this is because they think they can get away with it. They think that they're immune. And I think I'm developing a hernia. Huh. A random spot on my stomach that's sore. It's not big though, so imagine it's not a problem. Anyway, it does feel like the these people can give me fucking hernias because it's so ridiculous how bad they are. Because they try to get away with everything. Before Tiger Woods here, there was that Justin Timberlake body cam footage, and I was just thinking the entire time, you have all this money, you have all these fucking connections, and yet you do nothing to prevent these disasters. You do nothing to prevent these crimes. But what's also really frustrating is it is likely also a case of, well, they've done this so many times, out of public eye obviously, that they can actually get away with it. It's like they come across the wrong police officer, and that's where you get the problem. Because the wrong police officer does that. It just fucks you up. Like, yeah, it does happen. And it sucks. So, I was just trying to think, like, what else is there? Celebrities just corrupt, and I think with also a lot of money, you think you can also get your way out of things. So paying enough money to pay people off, like bribes, paying enough money to just play the system essentially. It's all sorts of fucked up, really. Because it's just not very nice to just see. It's just, so fucking annoying. What else is there even to say? It's just, a lot of these things feel so unnecessary, and yeah, it's like, they don't even care, they don't bat an eyelid to potential danger, potentially killing people. So, it's extremely disappointing, and it's not that I do celebrity worship. In fact, I fucking hate celebrities. I don't worship them at all. It's just the world the way it is. People just focus on them and look to them for whatever reason, inspiration or something, and it just feels very off-putting and annoying. It's just, it's so bad. So, what else? I think that's it about celebrities, but also we have to talk about the, let's say, the female side. Female? What the fuck am I talking? Look at Pokemon, that's why. Bulbasaur has a 12.5% female rate? That's insane. I wonder why. That's really weird. Anyway. The other thing was about people. That was it. And weirdly enough, it does tie into Pokemon. It's about someone just being a complete arsehole with these trading card games and saying things about cards, like he's just scalping them essentially, but making sure he's getting the expensive ones so he could sell those off essentially. But it seemed like they were literally just fondling these fucking card packets and using nails and stuff. Like, it's all sorts of gross as well. You never know where his fucking hand has been. As far as I know, he could be wanking off with money. You never know. It's like so disgusting, and it's just bad behaviour anyway. This is a problem. You know, I used to be able to walk into a store when I was young and just buy a packet of Pokemon cards. I mean, they didn't come up with anything. I only ever got one hologram, but it wasn't anything special. This was like Gen 3, Gen 4, I think. It's like 2006, so yeah, about that generation. But it never really came up with anything. But these days, it's become an interest of a lot of people, as well as nostalgia as well, no doubt. And it feels like an issue because for some reason people are like really into this, and I don't really understand the appeal myself, having been through it as a child. I just can't find myself to be very interested in it. Um, it just feels very fucking strange. But the fact that people are scalping these, and also the excuse this guy used, which is like, basically, it's not just for kids anymore, or something like that. Basically saying that like, kids are excluded from this now. It's just so bizarre, because Pokemon as a whole, it's like a family-friendly thing. It's PG, I guess. Well, not PG, but, you know, E for everyone. And that's mainly the appeal. It's like you've got this great world with great characters and stories, and also just the Pokemon themselves. And it just leads to some very vivid imagination and ideas. Also, Venusaur's goated, holy crap. Didn't notice the stats are that good. I'm planning on making a physical Pokedex and trying to find a way to put all the info on it and print it out. Yeah, that's another thing to talk about, but yeah, it's very disappointing with how these people handle the cold situations. As much as it's good to interrupt the scalpers are doing this, obviously. The reason that they do it to begin with and try to get away with it, obviously, is because they're corrupt and they're evil. They find that there's good things in it and decide to literally just go into it and get away with it, like sell it and do whatever. You never actually know. But that's one of the issues. Just happens to be that, and yeah, what do you even say? It's extremely fucking annoying. Like, that's pretty much the gist of it. Sorry. But I don't really know like a viable solution, to be honest. So, as much as I like Pokemon as a series, again, it's sort of gone downhill. It's just really frustrating how it just seems like people are so corrupt they don't even care who they affect with it. Because even though you could be raking in thousands from this very thing, the only problem you'll come up to with that is that you'll just be viewed as an arsehole, you'll be viewed as someone who's disliked. Which is not something you want to do, especially if you're in the public eye. So that just leads to more problems, and as a society as well, that is dangerous too. It's like, you can imagine that people will be fucking annoyed and pissed off. They'll just lash out on you, possibly. That's just more danger, it seems. What else is there to say? It's a hobby for everyone, as I said, and I find it silly that people can take it this far. Again, the fact that there's like robberies and shit just based on that is extremely concerning. It just makes me wonder what the hell people are doing. Or why are we even at this point where that can essentially happen, that could be a thing. Like, Jesus Christ. It's just more losing faith in humanity, and this is why people become misanthropic as well. This is the thing. This sort of corruption, this level of greed, it leads to people being harmed, and these people being harmed leads to more of that. Start to think that they need to be greedy themselves, which again causes corruption, and they just end up fucking over everyone. It's crazy amounts of danger. So it's just not good in the slightest. People making noise again, fucking crap. Is there anything else to add? I don't know where my voice is going, it shouldn't be, because it's been fine for the most part. I don't know. Nothing really coming to mind. Yeah, it's like people need to practice anti-corruption, I guess. Like, actually preach it and practice it. Feels very necessary at this point because holy crap, people get away with it too much, and even then, like, people try to normalise it, which becomes an issue in itself. And yeah, there's no good that comes of it. Obviously, it's just terrible stuff. Again, think about like who it harms down the bottom line. You get people who essentially make the things that you are getting greedy off of, and that ends up affecting them, and then you don't get the things you want. It's immediately self-defeating as well. It's just fucking nuts, really. I'm trying to think. Well, I think that's pretty much everything I can think of anyway. Yeah. That's a story, I guess. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, don't know about anybody else, but obviously, like, the justice system is broken. I'm looking at a compilation of like core behaviours like from my group again. So I'm just interested in what's there as well, because I don't really know much about core, to be honest. Just don't really know what goes on in there exactly, and it seems like there is a degree of like professionalism, but also not really in some other ways. But what I think is really interesting is that they don't really enact justice properly. Because I'm on the courtroom fights moments here. We just got past like Wise World, Man Crushes Track, where Cookie Assault, whatever that's about. And there's this fucking dickhead who's basically abused and murdered a 3-year-old child. And apparently the father was there. I think this is like a babysitter. I'm not sure exactly what story it was, so I could be mishearing it. But even like the previous topic, which was a murder of someone's, I think, is it wife or daughter? I can't remember actually. But there's so many parts where I'm just like, it's justifiable to have the people related to the victim to enact justice on them. These bastards who murdered or abused. And I think that's like fair enough for equal punishment, in all honesty. I think one of the things that a lot of people sort of fear, even with this day and age of corruption, likely would be having to face the consequences of their own actions. And you see that with people who vote, for example, like vote for Trump or vote for reform. They don't want to acknowledge the consequences exist, but eventually they will pay for it. They'll pay for it in blood. There's no fucking exaggeration. That's literally what will happen. Because some people will be fed up with it, and other people will essentially go to that length to make sure that their suffering is not in vain. Literally, it already causes so many fucking problems for society. And I've always sort of debated the aspect of equal punishment because it's an interesting concept, and at the moment it is only a concept. But I don't feel like a lot of these acts are really justified, in all honesty. It feels like equal punishment is fine in its own way, its own right, and I think it should be up to the people, like how they feel, like the victims in this situation. So whether it's abuse or even murder, the people who are affected by that, I think, should be able to enact their own sort of justice. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And that should hopefully, if it's done right, it should keep everyone in their place and keep everything how it should be. That make it just and right. I think that's like really important, because I think the further we stray from that, the worse the world becomes. That's why I even bring it up. And I'm thinking during these courtroom cases, all those parts where people are rightfully outraged by something that a criminal has done, I'm thinking, like, why are they stopping this guy from punching him? Also, I'll just let it happen as the court just goes on. Like, fucking beat him to a pulp. Like, why not? Like, have the criminal restrained and then just act out punishment. Because you need some sort of justice. It's not really a case of revenge, exactly. It's just teaching it a lesson. They need to know what it's like to be fucking vulnerable and be punished as well for the things you've done. I've always sort of believed that, even many years ago, actually, when I first started thinking about this. It's long before I even became vegan, weirdly enough. So it was already a thought back then. I was just wondering how there are so many arseholes out there in society, how many evil people there are, and wondering the best way to deal with them. And it isn't necessarily the fear of equal punishment, it should be the fear of being punished. And it sounds confusing, but that is actually what it is about. It's like, if you commit the crime, you have to understand there is a punishment to pay. And that's that, essentially. I think it gets complicated with something like money, because that's kind of hard to address. Because I don't think you can necessarily pay back every fucking bit of money you've stolen over what amount of time, if you have stolen money, that is. I think that's nearly impossible, so obviously it becomes the victim's call when it comes to doing what's right there. And obviously, in like another bizarre case, like, it has to be said, with billionaires and CEOs, like, they don't have a say in it, because they're already stealing from people. They're making profit at the cost of human lives. And this is what I mean by equal punishment. They need to be essentially forced into a situation where they pay for what they've done to the victims. So if they've taken a bunch of money, ironically they should be forced to pay the money back. To pay it to the victims in this situation. I don't really think it's the other way around when it's someone stealing from them. I don't really think that's entirely wrong, because at the end of the day, they're no better. Like, billionaires are always going to be in the wrong, no matter what. They have too much money. Like, millionaires, I can give or take, really. But it's mainly the people who rake in profit for the sake of profit, rather than for the sake of a product, which I guarantee you, probably there's a fair few people out there who do get profit from making a good product. That's exactly what I fucking mean. That's why this is important. That's why I bring this up to begin with. But yeah, like, equal punishment, like, the amount of times that there are situations where I would just like to see someone being beat the shit out of, beaten the shit out of, rather, for something they've done that's inherently evil. It's just crazy amounts. And you just wish it would happen, because you want to see the victims obviously get justice for this, to get some sort of compensation in a way. Like, it's one of the, I think, the best things you can do for someone, rather than this fucking stupid courtroom stuff. Like, Jesus Christ. I get it has to exist to make a fair judgment in certain cases, but not every case. Literally, if I found out something like, I don't know, like a neighbour abusing a kid, I don't think that necessarily needs to go to court. You just need to teach them a fucking lesson. You know, make it as painful as possible, and that be the lesson. That be the punishment. Jail time, maybe, but I don't really think it really helps. doesn't serve its purpose, and even then, the most evil people will just use that time to contemplate things. Weirdly enough, it does sort of tie into the what I'd consider like a pillar of I don't know, necessity. Like I have these realizations every now and then. It's quite rare about just the world in general and how easily it can fall apart. And I know exactly what to do, but I don't use that because it's evil if you do use it. It's like someone like me, I only realise that because I think on this a lot. I try to think how to avoid these situations and get to people, essentially. Get underneath people's skin and make sure they see the light in things, to see the good side of everything as well. But yeah, that's essentially that. Not really sure what else to add, to be honest. Cause yeah, like, you just need to see equal punishment in this society, even if it is just done by the people. Even though it may be done unfairly, I still think there's something there to be said. Admittedly, I don't think murder is an answer to abuse, for example, but abuse is an answer to abuse. And that should go without saying for equal punishment. But I don't really get why people will resort to murder to solve the problems, like as if that actually ever done anything. Which it didn't, by the way. As far as I know, you've still got a lot of these types of people running around. You've still got cheaters, you've still got abusers, you've still got child molesters, you've still got so many different types of fucking people, and they don't disappear. Even when you kill them, even when you put them behind bars. So the problem is far deeper than that. It's nothing to do with trying to kill them the moment they pop up. It's literally, you have to look into this, you have to research it, do the science on it, and figure out a solution from there. And spoiler alert, as far as I know, it's about addressing the problems at the root. It could be trauma, it could be, I don't know, some sort of trigger. It really varies. And then you have to address that with something. So, no idea what it could be, but it could be grounding, it could be suppressing it, something like that. But that's how you do it. And you make people aware of it as well, rather than this constant fucking stigmatism, which a lot of this stuff does get, and then we end up losing translation in a lot of things because stigma ends up controlling the narrative. It's not great. That's why this becomes such a problem. I'm not sure what else to add here, to be honest. Pretty much touched on everything. Yeah, equal punishment probably would be good to see, but it needs to be done properly as well. So yeah, I better move on. I'm quite busy at the moment, so let's go there. So something I feel like adding, discussing something. Sorry. For some reason my throat just decided to make me itchy and make me choke. But yeah, I just got finished watching another sort of video from this compilation, just a different one. Crazy police body cam footage. Yeah, like the first one is this just really fucking angry woman, and I have some things to say about this. Not the footage itself, but rather the justification for her anger. And I do honestly see it. I don't think it is actually something that's kind of unjustified. Maybe she could do it quietly, but then the problem is you've got so many arsehole police officers, and she is unfortunately right in some of these cases where they're so corrupt that they get away with their own crimes and they don't essentially get justice served to them. Even though personally my own run-ins with the police haven't been awful, they have been somewhat neutral, but that's not going to prevent one day possibly even, that it could happen that I encounter one that's corrupt and decides, you know what, I just decide I don't like you one day, and suddenly I get arrested. It's like, okay, great, that's corruption. Like, you need to have reason to arrest people, and fortunately it isn't as bad in America, at least in the UK. But I would argue that there's still corruption regardless, and it still happens. But this is why people can end up being very angry towards police officers. It's because they cause so much fucking disruption for people's lives and even reputations in some cases. There's just so many problems around it that it causes even more problems for people, without even people just minding their own business out on the street. Like, a lot of these issues are created by the government, for example, are stuff that the cops have to get into because they have to deal with these problems so that these people aren't causing supposed harm. But then that's also on the government, so it's their problem, not the police officers. It's the government's problem, and they only have themselves to blame for this, because also, as we can see, it's often the government that's causing a lot of this pain and suffering for people. So people are justifiably angry, and especially in America when the Black Lives Matter thing was happening, it's quite significant. And even if, say, was it George Floyd, I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure he was actually guilty of holding drugs, but it didn't justify what was done to him at all. Like, it's such a minor fucking issue, and it was a racially motivated crime rather than, oh, this guy's causing danger. So unjustified. And even then, you have to think, how did he get in possession of these drugs? Well, much like a lot of neighbourhoods in like black communities and just places that are poorer, they have to do what they can to survive. So you never know, but these people can end up being gang members or drug cartels, you never fucking know. And they're often a victim of that because they have no other choice. They're forced into it. This is what research is for. You look into these cases because they're so strange and just unfathomable, and then you realise that that's the problem. And what people need to realise about police is the reason that they're not on our side is because they are literally not on our side. They don't serve and protect. But it's more like force and molest, is what I'd say. It's a more accurate way of saying it. Because that's what they do. They force themselves onto people into these situations that they have no place in sometimes. And it's unjustified, obviously. There are justified cases, but if that happens on what is kind of, up to them, but you get cases where they force themselves on, then essentially try to not molest in a sexual way, but molest in the other way. Although that can happen the other way too. But they molest people and harass them essentially. Maybe that's about force and harass. And even in darker cases, there's like blackmail and corruption. There's just so much that goes wrong with it. And the other thing is that police is a sort of demonstration of quote-unquote power, even though they technically don't have any. People don't realise this. One of the other bits of knowledge that I have, that it's not really a secret anymore, but something I realise is nobody actually has power. In the end, it's about strength, like mental fortitude and physical ability and stuff. It's not my place to really talk on it, but that's what determines it these days. And yeah, like, anyone could overpower a police officer. May not realise it, but it is possible. Let's see. Yeah, like, corruption takes a lot of forms as well, and that's why it's so hard to identify sometimes, or even to get justice. It's difficult. that's why people are so angry about police officers and just the amount of injustice there is. And also, it can just become an excuse for someone to get away with their own crimes because they think they're immune if they get into this place. And it's like, yeah, I'm above the law because I am the law enforcer. And they decide whether the laws apply to them or not. Just the other issue is the other point of corruption. Selfishly choosing whether or not you apply to the law yourself. So it's like, you can get away with parking. I remember this other thing, like, what's that story from the UK or something? It's like, was it US? I think it's US actually. There's a police officer parking in disabled spaces, and another police officer essentially pulled him over. It was like the chief of police or something. Fucking crazy. And the chief was like, no, you can't do this. I'm the chief. I have every right to park in that spot. And so you can't answer, like, to the question about, like, are you doing this because it is a police emergency, or... And obviously you can't answer that because he's lying. And yeah, it's like, obviously a lot of people are pissed off because, yeah, that spot is specifically reserved for disabled people. And in the UK, I know we have, like, this blue badge system, I think it is. I don't know how you actually get one, because technically I do need one myself, but it's for mental health, which affects my physical health. Literally, I get anxiety and panic attacks, and to have a quick way out is just essential. Because you never know when it might occur. I might just be shopping one day and it's like, oh, panic attack, can't handle it, I need to go. Then can't find the car or something, and yeah. That's my case. For others, it's obviously more physical and stuff, and everyone else has similar issues, I guess. But, you know, parking in those spots, it just makes you a scumbag. Because if you don't have the badge, it just means you're a bad person. Like, what the fuck are we doing where you think it's okay to park at these spots which are reserved for people with physical disabilities who aren't physically able to do the things that you do as a fucking police officer? Like, just fucking ridiculous. I genuinely do not understand that. Yeah, again, the corruption takes many forms, and that's why people are angry, and there's just so many things that sort of prove that all cops are bastards, essentially. That's why ACAB is even a thing. People have been fed up of being mistreated, and that even reminds me of something else. Like, my family, and also me along with the family, I went on holiday to somewhere once. I won't say where it was, but it's a different country. And, like, for some reason, they got pulled over for speeding in a place where they weren't actually speeding. It's just so bizarre. It's like literal corruption. Somehow my side of the family avoided it, but theirs didn't. And it's just so strange. That's obvious corruption, and this is why people fucking hate the police. Like, why are you charging people a speeding ticket, especially on, like, what was essentially a motorway? Like, it's just so bad. That corruption is quite obvious, and it could always be a scam as well. That's the other thing. It could be just something to take tourists off guard or something like that, and get people to pay a fine that doesn't actually exist. You never really know with those things. It's the reason why there's so much hatred. Why people just condemn police officers in general. Even then, I think a lot of people would agree with this, but in a more ideal world, maybe even socialist, I don't know if socialism actually supports the idea, but we wouldn't have police. We would have civil officers, literally. Because to enforce the law, it should be down to not government, but society. It shouldn't be up to the government necessarily, and then it's up to a society to even prove when a law's wrong, for example. Like, there's plenty of things that we do wrong now that will be wrong in the future, hopefully. And things that have been done in the past that have been demonstrably proven wrong. I can point one out. Animal agriculture should be illegal, just hands down illegal because it is evil. It's one of the things, and obviously having a law to overturn that essentially and make it a bad thing is pretty essential given everything that animal agriculture does anyway. It does feel kind of urgent as well. That's why that should be illegal. Having a society be able to suddenly decide that and start arresting people related to his crimes is kind of important. And obviously, you need some sort of announcements or things like a few months' notice or whatever. But that's also to be decided by people. It's not to be decided by fucking governments who can be paid off. And the benefit of having it be run by a population of people is you're probably getting the best of both worlds in that. So you get rid of obviously billionaires and CEOs and stuff, but everyone evil in these positions, and it allows people who are not in those situations, like you and I probably, to essentially get the best of this situation, where we can tax billionaires, we can ensure that there's worker safety. There's so many ways it can benefit us as long as it's done correctly. And I would argue one of the most inarguable laws that needs to be put in place immediately after that is to solve situations peacefully unless in self-defense. So that's situations that are done peacefully and whatnot, it shouldn't be an issue. Literally, that's what it is about. It's like non-violence and putting people first, essentially. I don't know what to call it, like, because it goes into consciousness and stuff. But when someone's obviously able to experience subject harm or something, or even animals, then that is definitely breaching a moral boundary, wherever it may occur. That's the point. That's why you have these debates to begin with. And that's why these laws would kind of work out in the end. At least in my opinion, I think it would. That's why it's important. Trying to think what else there is that could be said. I think that's why people don't like the police, and you can't self-govern. That's a problem itself, and I think that obviously should be illegal as well. It's civilly illegal because I think there's a difference now, at least today. I think at least people realise that legality isn't always morality, especially in the case of, well, the US at the moment. What ICE is doing is technically both illegal and just societally condemned. And that's because they are just doing evil things for evil purposes and for evil people. So everybody's sort of on board with the idea of abolishing it and getting rid of it. And that's why people were so pissed off, and that's why I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the future we start seeing people getting so annoyed with this thing, this unlawful thing, and obviously inherently evil, that people start making their own laws and having that be applied to society and obviously relevant places. Also, leadership in general is just an issue because everyone thinks that they are a great leader themselves, but we need to preach being unbiased and honest and open-minded as well. There's pretty much honesty as well. It's more important than having a fucking leader decide the rules for you, because every time a leader is gonna say something or do something wrong, like currently they are everywhere it seems, then it's just going to lead you to be mad. You're not really holding him up high. You're not saying like, "Oh, we're proud of this guy. He's doing amazing work for some reason." But that's why you get even weirder people. Like there was that senator, I forgot his name, Gary Newsom, to say, who's like a complete fucking transphobe, even though he's got good ideas. he's against Trump and stuff, but yeah, this is what I've seen. What I mean by this, it's not governed by idiots like this. It's governed by people who actually understand the logic and even just the population in general. And then, obviously, as this goes into like the younger generations, also it stops like social media bans as well. As we get the younger generations replacing the older ones, it allows for more freedom and freedom of speech, and just a kinder world in general, more empathetic. Because it's a lot of these ideas that these older people grew up on that is dictating what's happening in the world. It's dictating greed, it's dictating whether you suffer or not because of who you're born as. There's just so many things that are occurring as a result of this age problem as well. And that needs to be addressed, like, urgently. But that's what a civil law would actually do. A civil law system, rather. Which again is decided by the people, rather than authority or government. And again, I think it can be run well if it's actually done properly, but it requires people to obviously be not corrupt and be honest and open-minded, and then we need to do justice wherever that occurs. So where people have done wrong, essentially. Yeah, I could see the benefits in it, but it's quite hard to achieve, so at the moment there isn't an easy way to do it, but I'd argue that people who do know that they're morally right on things, morally correct, I think should be allowed to just enact justice, like just through and through. It's not a bad thing at all. That's why I sort of say in America you need to take action against ICE. You need to do something, because doing nothing has done nothing, obviously. And like protests barely do anything. It's not changed minds as far as I know, and even debates. So that's why action needs to be put in your own hands. You have to remember that the people who are like trying to exercise authority or power are just as weak as everyone else. Maybe even weaker. And that's why they prey on the vulnerable. That's why they do this shit. So yeah, it's obviously worth mentioning all that, because that's what it leads to. Yeah, I think I've touched on everything though. That's my thoughts on this. Like, it's why this woman was extremely angry, and the body cam footage is probably. And also, like, if you have friends and family affected by that, it's gonna increase your fucking state of anger. I know that has mine as well, because of the situation I was in only, I think, last year. And for some reason, it's not been addressed properly. And all the stories I hear about it just make me think, for fuck's sake, like, if I was this person, I'd probably just break in and get my stuff back. It's just fucking ridiculous how mishandled all this, and honestly, you're justified in using your own force in that case. I really don't think it's wrong to do that, especially given such a sufficient amount of time has gone by. Like, it's fucking absurd. It's like, even like, if you're, for example, the victim as well, that is going to happen to you, and it does happen actually, I think. Say that you had your purse stolen or something, and the criminal had multiple charges, and obviously used the purse for something else, but the police have decided to confiscate it because it's for evidence, and it's your purse. It has all your money, your cards, or whatever you have in there, like everything personal to you. And it is wrong for them to hold that without obviously clearing it for evidence and giving it back. If they hold it for longer than it needs to be held for, then yeah, 100% justified to take it back, whichever way possible. That's not wrong, it is justified. Again, that's what I mean by civilly lawful action. That's what it literally is. I think everyone would understand the frustration with that. Especially if it costs you that a lot of money as well. It definitely is a morally correct thing to do as well. Come on, it's not hard to figure out. It's not relying on fucking authorities to do this shit anymore. It's why people take matters into their own hands in the end. It just gets very tiring very quickly. And I also hate that. That's another thing about this actually. The culture around. Oh, it's okay if the police do something to someone I dislike. Yikes. Because that's not going to help you. In the end, it's going to make things worse. It's going to cause you to probably suffer as well. And that's not what you want, trust me. It's going to make people hate you, it's going to make a lot of problems. Yeah, like, I think that's all I've got to say though. Yeah, that's, so I thought this was interesting. It just randomly appeared in my Reddit feed with Pokemon. There's a post by a user called TC Azazaz. A lot of Z's. But they've got a chart of the most Google searched Pokemon in 22 years, from 2004 to 2025. So the top 25 Pokemon are the top, unsurprisingly, Pikachu. Second, actually a bit surprised by this, Eevee. Because Eevee never used to be a popular Pokemon. At some point, some people just decided, you know what, Eevee's the cutest, and I knew this years ago when I got into Pokemon, back in like 2016 or 2015, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised by that. Then Charizard, then Mewtwo, then Ditto, then Snorlax, then Charmander, then Lucario, then Arceus, then Squirtle, then Nukia, and Alakazam, which is interesting, but I sometimes wonder if that's to do with the name, people searching that. Maybe. And then there's Gyarados, surprised by that as well. Bulbasaur, Gardevoir, not surprised. Magikarp, Umbreon, Gengar, Rayquaza, Giratina, Dragonite, Greninja, Vulpix, I'm also surprised by. Deoxys and the Raichu. There's some surprising things there, but then you've got the typing, which is at the top, Electric, then Dragon, then Fire, then Psychic, then Normal. I've got pause. So some other ones, might as well put us aside so I can explain it wants to do stuff. After Normal it's Ghost, then Water, then Dark, then Fighting, then Ground, then Steel, then Fairy. A bit surprised about Steel, given how strong it is. Wait, is this search terms or is this about Pokemon? It's quite a weird distribution, apparently 180 normal Pokemon, so I don't know about that. You got Rock, then Poison, then Ice, then Grass, which is weird, and then Bug and Fly. So, it's the most searched types, I guess. And then you got Pokemon by generation, per trio, starters that is. You got Charmander in Gen 1, Cyndaquil in Gen 2, Mudkip in Gen 3, Piplup in Gen 4, Oshawott in Gen 5, Froakie in Gen 6, which is interesting. I would have thought it'd be fucking Fennekin. And then you got Rowlet in Gen 7. So interesting. Weird enough it doesn't have Scarlet Violet data, but I'm not sure if that took into account everything. It's a bit strange. Yeah, trying to think. What's the next one? I'm trying to look rather. Average normalized search interest by generation. So the most searched generations, let's see. Gen 1, which has 2.5 average something, I can't read it. Average. God, the image quality is fucking awful. I can't even see what that says, but that's the highest. And there are others at some point. There's Gen 4, well, I'll do it highest to lowest. Gen 4 next, and Gen 2, then Gen 3, then Gen 5, and Gen 6. Is that 7? 7, I think. Something like that. Yeah, I need to concentrate on this because this thing fucking kills. Yeah, there we go. I made it. Then Gen 8, and then Gen 7. 9 even. It's interesting though. Not amazing stuff though. Not surprised, to be fair, because a lot of people are quite Gen 1 heavy. I don't exactly understand that, to be honest. I think the problem with that sort of mindset is it's kind of like, eh, you know, it's nice and all, but I don't think Gen 1 was actually the best, in my opinion. I think, honestly, that Gen 7 was my favourite all time, which I go without saying. But that's because it's just generally more fun and has some great Pokemon as well. And it's a great setting. I like the setting of Lola. It's kind of cool. The trial stuff as well is a bit different. Certainly had its niche, so yeah. And next is a thing I can't read. Great image quality. I don't know what the fuck is other screenshots are. Yeah, there's nothing else there, it seems. It's just the first bits that seem to be most important and most interesting. But overall, it seems kind of niche, and there's some interesting stats there. As a Pokemon guy myself, I do find it kind of interesting to see all the stats and stuff. Definitely surprised me in some areas, but not so much in others. Bit surprised about Vaporeon, to be honest, because we all know what happens to Vaporeon. It's fucking Guna shit. So, I don't know, but it's something anyway. I do find this somewhat interesting in its own way. Yeah, I got hit by nothing, that's great. Yeah, so that's about it. So I'll move on as soon as I can. Whilst not dying in this fucking raid, it's hellish. So yeah. I might as well do an outro actually, fuck it. Forgot about that, it's gone on for a while. But thanks for listening, I guess. As usual, just, yeah. Something.